programs. My program is the Dayton Local Office of Minority Health. And I work with the maternal child health team, which we have two maternal child health team members here today, Kara Thomas and Tiffany Terry. And Kara is our community engagement coordinator. And Tiffany is our very fancy name, fetal infant mortality review coordinator. And we're happy to have also with us today Commissioner Debbie Lieberman. And so I was really happy when I saw you RSVP. I was like, this is wonderful. So hopefully everyone has signed in. Is everyone signed in? Okay. We asked you to put on a name tag. We asked you to put a number on your name tag. Did everyone number their name tag? Okay, so you're going to look around the room and you're going to see some numbers on the tables. So when we start our conversation, which is going to happen after the PowerPoint presentation, based on your number, we need you to move to the table with your number. And you're going to be working with people in a group at that table. So don't cheat, because we have your names on the sign-in sheet. We're going to bust you if you try to cheat.
Okay.
So some people try to stay with their friends, but sometimes if you work better in a group if you're with someone you don't know, because you have a really interesting and unique conversation. I want to share that the Dayton Local Office of Minority Health, which is the program that I do, is a program that looks at the health of all people, but we particularly focus on minority health. And that is because in Montgomery County, minorities represent about 26% of the community, but also minorities have specific health needs that are oftentimes affected by their culture, cultural practice, cultural belief, cultural habits. And so when we look at minority health, whether it's the Asian community, African American community, Latino community, the Rwandan Burundians, or the Hiska Turkish, we really want to drill down into what is going on in their community, what foods they eat, what type of health beliefs they have, what type of practices they have in their community. All these things impact people's lives, people's choices, people's behavior. Also where they live, what's going on in their neighborhood, what kind of environment. Is it a healthy environment? Those kind of things impact people's choices and their behavior. So the Local Office of Minority Health is looking at minority health from that particular focus. The maternal child health team is looking at all the things that are impacting women, no matter what the color, and the babies that they're having. Because unfortunately, in Montgomery County, we have a little problem with this. Too many of our babies that are being born alive are not making it to their first birthday. It's very important that we understand why. Because the people's health in our community is important. Would you say that, Commissioner Lieberman? So at this time, we want to ask Commissioner Lieberman if she would, did you want to make some remarks?
Well, I don't have any planned remarks, but I did want to be here because infant mortality is something that the county has focused on for years, and we just haven't moved the numbers. And we especially haven't moved the numbers in the minority babies that are being born. That's where the problem really is right now. And so the first steps that we can take, this team and a whole group of others are going to be working on a whole new kind of, well, you guys have been working on about a year now, over a year now, but the numbers are coming down in the county. The numbers are, we're doing better. We used to be the worst in the state. Not right now, but every child is important to us. And so this campaign that we kicked off last year, Everyone Reach One, is so important. And some of the things, it's just about talking to mothers when they're, or even before they're pregnant, right? They need to understand, they need to know how do they get healthy, stay healthy, prenatal vitamins, and all of that goes with that. And then after the baby's born, what are the best practices on sleeping, on feeding, all of those things. And so the county has teamed up with public health, and the governor's office has really encouraged us and asked us last year to look at this and to make a difference. And so through a model of what we're calling collective impact, we're working on this, and we're reaching out to the ministers in our community. We just recently had a meeting with the ministers and meetings like this so that the public can be informed that every baby is precious. And so that's why I'm here, just to show my support and thank all of you for being ambassadors for this. Thank you. You have a question, sir?
Are you going to be elected?
Nope.
in November?
No. Not.
You go when the governor, I mean, the mayor.
I go every 4 years.
Every 4,
So,
okay.
yeah, I'm not up this time.
Okay, okay, I thought the holiday stuff.
No, that's okay. That's
I-
all right.
I was wondering.
Better to be informed, right? Yes, sir.
I want to ask a question. I might have missed something. What's causing these babies not to make it to the first?
There's a lot of factors.
And we're gonna share that.
Yeah, and that's gonna be part of the program. But there's a
Oh.
lot of factors, and like I said, some are simple things, and some are things that aren't so simple. I mean, we know that poverty is an underlying reason that so many, babies are born into poverty. That can always be a major issue. So we want to make sure that we, as a county, and that our citizens, everybody's aware of this, and that no baby dies. I mean, things are going to happen, that a baby may be born with something, but those babies that otherwise are healthy, and there's no reason, we have to make sure that they're healthy. Low birth weight is one of the big reasons, okay, oftentimes, so.
I think we need to also
Okay.
support insurance for the babies, so they won't be sick.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're right. You're right. So,
Yeah.
thank you all. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here.
So we actually have a great presentation for you today. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that there is something to eat in here. A couple of you just came in. If you'd like some pizza, there's some water, some flavored water packets if you'd like some of that. Please participate in the free health screenings. We're doing blood pressure screenings. We're doing blood glucose screenings. So please participate in those. Once again, the women's and men's restrooms are here. If you have phones, we ask that you do silence your phone so that we can do the presentation with as little interruption as possible. And I need to find my purse and turn mine off too, so that's for all of us. I do want to remind you that we do have some people here from the community. We have Care Source, who is here providing information, health information. We have Help Me Grow, which is part of Premier Health. They're here, and we also have the WIC program here to provide some information about the WIC program. And all of these organizations also work in the arena of helping moms be healthy and helping babies be born healthy and make it to their first birthday. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and have our presentation with Kara Thomas, our Community Engagement Coordinator. Kara?
Yeah. So I would first like to say hello to everyone. Hi. Thank you all so much for coming and being here tonight. So the reason that we are here is not a glorious occasion, but it is one that we must address. We are here to talk about infant mortality. And as everyone has mentioned earlier, that each one reach one, meaning each and every baby should be able to make it to their first birthday. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. So within this presentation, we are going to talk about infant mortality, what that is. We will then go into a discussion, as you were mentioning, about the social determinants of health and what causes infant mortality. We'll then talk about equity, the importance of fatherhood, and last, our efforts to address infant mortality. So what is infant mortality? Infant mortality is the death of a baby before his or her first birthday. What we use is something called the infant mortality rate, or the IMR. This is the number of babies who die within the first year of life per 1,000 live births. So, sir, as you mentioned, what is the reason that our babies are dying? Mostly because they are born too early and they are too small. Most babies are born before 37 weeks, which is a problem. Also, they are born less than 5.5 pounds. If you can read the chart, 18% is a result of other causes. 13% is a result of congenital abnormalities. And last is perinatal infections. Well, not last, but another leading factor. So why is this happening? As Commissioner Lieberman mentioned earlier, poverty, limited access to care, transportation, all these are root causes of birth outcomes, of differences in birth outcomes. And I have a video I want to show you. everybody hear? Is
No.
No.
Let's turn the fan off.
Thanks, Barbara.
Disparities are really the consequences of racial differences in social status. And it isn't that simple.
Infant mortality among white American women with a college degree or higher is about 4 deaths per 1,000 births.
I'm gonna pause it.
But among African
Do you see that one
On
over
the
there?
screen?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
screen.
maybe this a different one.
Or maybe even on the TV. How about that? There we go.
There it is.
Okay, so I'm gonna start it over for everyone. Hopefully. This is very important to hear.
The biggest myth about racial affective disparities in infant mortality is that people think that this has to do with just socioeconomics and that the disparities are really the consequences of racial differences in socioeconomic status. And it isn't that simple.
Infant mortality among white American women with a college degree or higher is about 4 deaths per 1,000 births. But among African American women with the same level of education, infant mortality is about 10 per 1,000 births, almost 3 times higher. In fact, African American mothers with a college degree have worse birth outcomes than white mothers without a high school education.
Think about this. We're talking about African American doctors, lawyers, and business executives, and they still have a higher infant mortality rate than non-Hispanic white women who never went to high school in the first place. So what I've been calling for is rethinking of an old problem from a new perspective, and to really rethink racial disparities in birth outcomes from the life course perspective. Simply put, the life course perspective posits that birth outcomes are the product of not simply the 9 months of pregnancy, but really the consequences of different exposures across the life course of women of color. We know that racism is stressful, and we know that stress can impact on health in many different ways. It creates this chronic wear and tear on your body systems to adapt. It wears on the hormonal system, it wears on the inflammatory functions, it wears on your metabolic functions, and over time it creates an overload on all these organs and systems so that they no longer function optimally.
Everyday racism is like gunning the engine of a car without ever letting up. In fact, people who've looked at blood pressures, measuring ambulatory blood pressures for white folks and black folks, young folks, see that the blood pressures might be the same during the day, but at night the white folks' blood pressures would drop, and the black folks' blood pressures would stay the same. And so it is. It's like gunning the engine of that car, just wearing it out without rest. And I think that the stresses of everyday racism are doing that.
And then if you were to carry that into the pregnancy, and that gets embedded in the pregnancy physiology of the mother and the developmental biology of the child. Certainly have done a lot in terms of increasing access and utilization of prenatal care, especially amongst communities of color, and yet we've done very little to reduce prematurity rates. I think that the problem is that with prenatal care, you're trying to cram all these things into less than 9 months of prenatal care, and then expect everything to turn out all right at the end, and to expect prenatal care in less than 9 months to reverse all the cumulative disadvantages and iniquities that's been carried forward over a life course of differential exposures, is probably expecting too much of prenatal care. So if we're serious about improving birth outcomes and reducing disparities, we've got to start taking care of women before pregnancy. I'm not just talking about that one visit 3 months preconceptionally, talking about when she's a baby inside her mother's womb, infant and child and adolescent, and really taking care of women and families across their life course if we really want to do something about pregnancy outcomes.
So did you guys catch anything from that video?
I did.
Can somebody share something that they learned?
They talked about the cumulative effect of racism, which it said that racism systemically adds stress to you, right? That means that we probably have a high incidence of high blood pressure and hypertension and all that that's passed down through each generation. And that's key for me because that's true. And all of us in this room, if you go in the room next door, you probably got hypertension or high blood pressure. No fault of your own. Did I say that right? And so we want to make sure that we pay attention to that from a medical standpoint because it's some things that you just can't do anything about but get treatment. But it's passed down, he said, racism.
Yes. So I want everybody to think of something from that video and save it because it'll go into some of our other activities. But from this slide right here, equality, equity, and reality. From this visual right here, what can somebody tell me the definition of equality is?
A level playing.
Equal
rights.
So for me personally, as I see this visual, to me, equality is doing the same for everyone. You get a box, you get a box, you get a box, right? It doesn't matter if you're tall enough to see or not, but I was equal. Whereas equity, from the middle picture, is giving you what you need to be able to reach a common goal. So you see as we're viewing the game, right? The individual who's tall, that got a box with equality, does not need one for equity because they are already able to see. The individual in the middle who got a box for equality, all they needed was one box with equity to be able to see. So that's all they needed to have a level chance. Whereas the individual at the end needed several boxes. So now with these several boxes, we are all able to see. That's equity, giving you what you need to be able to have a fair chance. But in reality, some people who don't need help receive the most. And the individuals who need it the most are oftentimes left behind. So what can we do about infant mortality? Something that we can do is we cannot and do not blame the victims. Because what the numbers don't tell us and what we need to address are the underlying elements. So what are these elements? These elements are life courses. We don't know the course of that mother's life. As Ms. Cheryl mentioned earlier, we don't know the cultural differences, the role of women and men in the family. We need to be able to build trust and have community input. As mentioned earlier, fatherhood is important in our fight against infant mortality. So as Commissioner Lieberman mentioned earlier, Ohio currently ranks 9th worst in the nation for infant mortality. Along with these 9 other counties here. Can y'all help me count? I'm gonna try to name them all, okay? So we have Butler, Cuyahoga, Hamilton, Franklin, Lucas, Montgomery, Mahoney, Stark, and Summit County, where majority of infant deaths, especially African-American infant deaths, are occurring. As mentioned here, in 2016, 86% of Black infant deaths occurred within the 9 counties I just mentioned. So, who can tell me what the infant mortality rate is? What is the IMR? What is that definition? We said it earlier. Who can help me out here?
Infant mortality.
The infant mortality rate is the number of babies who die per 1,000 live births. Can somebody say that with me?
1,000.
Infant mortality rate is the number of babies who die per 1,000 live births.
Is that within 1 year though?
Before their first birthday.
Before their first birthday. Thank you. Before their first birthday. So we have our aggregate data right here. Black babies from 2011 to 2015, but as an aggregate, had an infant mortality rate of 15.1. For 2016, I'm glad to say our numbers have decreased.
Come on now.
Our numbers are now 12.6. So 12.6 Black babies died per 1,000 live births in Montgomery County. It's not glorious, but it's a change. For all races, in 2015, it was 7.9. Again, I am glad to say that number has decreased to 6.8. So in Montgomery County as a whole, regardless of race, 6.8 babies died per 1,000 live births. And as we get to our white babies, again, I am glad to say that number has decreased. We went from 5.6 to 5.0. So 5.0 babies died per 1,000 live births in Montgomery County. But there is still a disparity, and this slide is going to tell you about that disparity. So in Montgomery County, black babies are dying at a rate of 2.5 times higher than white babies. You want me to say that again for y'all? In Montgomery County, black babies are dying at a rate of 2.5 times higher than white babies. To touch more on that disparity, in Ohio, black women with 5 or more years of college are more likely to deliver a premature baby than a poor white woman with a high school degree or less.
And why is that? And not because you have an undergrad degree, master degree, or terminal PhD, PSYD, but why is the higher educated woman?
So back to that slide I showed you earlier on the root causes of birth differences, in birth outcomes.
Stress.
You have your underlying stress, you have your underlying poverty. It's several factors and not one can be an answer. But I want to share this slide with you. It's a fact. This is a fact that 250 babies died before their first birthday between 2012 to 2016. Do you know how many babies that is? That is enough to fill 12 kindergarten classrooms. 12 kindergarten classrooms worth of babies died between 2012 and 2016 in Montgomery County. So what are we doing as a county to address this issue? What is currently being done? One of the things is we have identified our infant mortality target areas. See these zip codes right here? These are really where our efforts are, but they're really all over the county, but this is a focal point.
Predominantly African American.
Yes, yes. It's where 80% of our babies are dying. So as I mentioned, we have our targeted areas. We have something that's called centering pregnancy. Centering pregnancy is prenatal care that includes health checkups, life skills training, and peer support in a group setting of about 8 to 12 women. So where is that currently being offered? Life Stages Good Samaritan Hospital in Dayton, Life Stages Good Samaritan Hospital in Inglewood, and 5 Rivers Health Centers for women.
Excuse me, sister. So when Good Sam closes, where will that Life Stages effort go?
That's a question I will have to, if you want to share your contact information, I will let you know. I can get back, I can follow up on
Miami Valley Hospital.
So what else is being done besides centering pregnancy? You have something that's called progesterone therapy. Who's heard of progesterone therapy before? Raise your hand if you've heard of progesterone therapy. Would you like to share what is progesterone therapy, ma'am?
I have a friend that was getting it to help her. She lost a baby, so it's helping her carry her baby to full term.
Yes.
So it's really expensive, and the insurance fought with her and didn't want to pay. That's what I remember the most.
Well, I would like to say the progesterone therapy can help women carry their babies to full term to 40 weeks. So this treatment is given to women who have had a premature baby in the past and were diagnosed as having an asymptomatic short cervix during an ultrasound. Now, what progesterone therapy is a suppository or it's a shot. That's what the reason that those pictures are being shown. So what else is being done besides center our targeted areas, our progesterone therapy, and our centering pregnancy? We have awareness campaigns. We have focus group sessions. We have public health events. And we have presentations. So again, thank you all for coming. We have our infant mortality task force, which we need people to feel, to really help us get our message about how serious this issue is and how we can fight and prevent it. You have our CHIP priority birth outcomes. So as a county, infant mortality is the key long-term indicator for birth outcomes and overall community health and well-being. So what are our goals with these birth outcomes? Our first goal is to reduce preterm births. Our second goal is to reduce substance misuse in pregnant women and mothers of infants. And our third goal is to reduce the infant mortality racial disparity, as we mentioned earlier, which is the fact that 2.5, an African American baby is 2.5 times more likely to die, or is dying, I shouldn't say more likely to die, but is dying than the rate of white babies. We have our public health Dayton and Montgomery County collaborating programs, and some of them are here with us today. You have Moms and Babies First, which is a program that has women come to the home, community health workers come and advocate for these pregnant mothers. You have Moms Quit for Two, Baby and Me Tobacco Free program, which is a program that assists pregnant women with their smoking cessations. You have your Dayton Council on Health Equity, which is why we are here today. You have our Fetal Infant Mortality Review, which is also here with us today. You have our WIC breastfeeding program, which is also here with us today. And there's several other programs. They're all on this slide. You can see our efforts. But not only do we have efforts within Public Health Dayton and Montgomery County, but we also have our community partner organizations. One of them is here with us today. Well, several of them are here with us today. You have CareSource. You have Help Me Grow. You have Ohio Department of Health, Wright State University, the University of Dayton, just to name a few. It's several. So now the question is, what can you do to prevent infant deaths? You can be healthy before becoming pregnant. You can space out your pregnancies. Having a baby before 18 months postpartum puts a woman at higher risk. You can learn about pregnancy and caring for a baby. You can learn about the use of safe sleep practices for infants. And you can ensure that babies always sleep alone in a crib on their backs. It's more that you can do. You can keep doctor's appointments. You cannot drink alcohol, use tobacco, or take drugs while pregnant. Another thing that you can do, you can involve fathers. Be supportive of pregnant family members, friends, and co-workers, and also support breastfeeding. Eat healthy and exercise. So what do we recommend? What are our recommended actions? Again, know the definition of infant mortality. Know the root causes of infant mortality and other poor health outcomes. Be sure not to blame those who have suffered a loss, but support them. Know the importance of being healthy before pregnancy, the importance of lowering or eliminating chronic stress. And our actions are continued. Know the importance of early pregnancy care, the importance of safe sleep practices, how progesterone prevents early delivery. Know that there are censoring practices for women, for pregnant women. Know the health benefits of breastfeeding, that community work is being done to improve birth outcomes. And most importantly, know the role that you can play to help increase awareness, while also including fathers and other male role models. So are there any questions?
I got one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am half of a century years old.
I wouldn't say that.
Maybe one day you will be able to say it. But do y'all go to schools and have these kind of talks?
Is that something that you feel we should do?
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, do you all do that?
Oh. Well, my understanding is that that is something that we are working on.
Oh, okay.
That is something that we are working on, ma'am. And if you feel that that is a great idea, and if that you feel that that's something that we should do, I would love to have that conversation. Yes, ma'am.
Since there has been a decrease in the number of infant mortality in Montgomery County, what do you attribute it to? What have you, like, of all the things that you've implemented, because you couldn't change the stress, you couldn't take away the racial disparity, what do you attribute it to?
Well,
just awareness of maybe, and
well, yeah, I would say awareness, but we also have to keep in mind that the infant mortality rate fluctuates from year to year, which is why we like to use that 5-year aggregate. So really, it's about how many babies were born. So there could have been a change in the amount of births, which we can contribute to the infant mortality rate being lower. Not to diminish our work, but we do want to make sure that we're being transparent and that it does fluctuate. And so we like to look at a couple years at a time just to ensure that we're not saying, okay, we did something. We really need to watch it over time because it's not going to happen overnight. Like you mentioned, stress is not something that we can just eliminate in 1 year, probably not even in 10 years. It took a long time to develop those type of things.
But I've heard so many things. Like I was driving somewhere a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and I heard it on the radio that about the centering, about the birth centering. They were asking people between this age and this age. So I'm thinking you're making it very aware that it's out there.
Mhm.
Can I add something? So last year, we were able to get dollars from the state, the health department was able to use, and it went towards awareness, it went towards all the programs that we heard about. We got more money this year, and so, but they told us, you know, they want us to focus on certain things, and one of those is the centering. So I think, you know, you've probably seen billboards and, you know, safe sleeps talk, and I think everything together could be, like, she's exactly right. We don't know for sure why it happened, but it's one of those things where, as a community, we're doing that collective kind of impact, and I think that we'll, pray that we'll see the numbers go down again in 18. So we'll just keep working on it. But that's why awareness is so important for your children and your grandchildren, your sisters, your girlfriend, everybody you can talk to about it.
I'm trying to figure out how much money you need to go up in the school and tell them kids about this.
Are you talking about the teens?
Oh, I'm sorry.
High
I'm sorry,
schools?
April.
Okay.
We have a question. Yes, sir.
It's not really a question,
Okay.
it's a question that's going together. I think the stress level will come down if these young men, black men, or white men, has been taught in their house to how to treat a woman like a woman. That would bring the stress level down, okay? So I was taught how to treat a woman.
We need
With
to.
respect, because without that man in that house, not in that house,
Yes.
you're gonna have some stress.
I like that.
That
Each one,
period gonna have some stress.
each one reach one, and each one teach one. There we go. That's
And
our
we
next
have
campaign.
fatherhood initiatives, and if you would like to be linked.
I understand that, but these young black men need to be taught to stay out of the way of the law, not in penitentiary, because that's what most of them at, either penitentiary or dead. So we need to talk these churches, need to get out here and grab a hold of these kids. You would think the sisters, they be saved all the time they stood up in church all these years. They should be cool. Now, we need to get the ones out. They dying in the church. They dying out there on the streets. So that's what the community needs to be. Churches, these places, and me, which I do that. I ain't scared of them. I don't borrow them from them.
That's good. That's a great point, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I was concerned about whether obstetricians are involved in this program, because we mentioned that for black women who have a college education, they're getting good care, but yet their babies are dying also. So I just, because of the situation I had, I'm wondering if they're being educated to look for, to look for these kinds of signals that there might be something wrong.
Well, I will say that we have a collaborative effort. I can't get into any more specifics than that, but that is a good point that you bring up. Are there any other questions?
Is this the place where somebody tells me the impact, the detrimental impact of the closing of Good Sam has to do with life stages and centering? Is this the place for that?
Again, sir, I am unable to answer that, but if you want to leave your contact information with me, I can get back with you.
I think we had it.
He knows we don't disagree with him.
I'm sorry. One last question. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If possible, because we're working on making other things possible for the dogs, being overbreeded, for penetration in one family. Let's teach, they know how the world period, well, right now this is where we at today. Let's teach them how to love one another. See, if the apple don't fall too far from the tree, if the tree is ugly, then the branch gonna be ugly.
Those are all very valid points, but I would like to say thank you all for coming. I hope that you learned a lot and are able to share our message. And we are, I'm taking notes. We do take the comments that you all make seriously. We take them to heart. We need you all's input. We need to understand